So once in a while in my job, I get the opportunity to sit down and have lunch with people. Yesterday, I had lunch with Louie Gohmert, and afterwards I thought, you know what, why don't we bring the cameras in and just film some of our conversation. I thought you might be interested in some of the things that he had to report about what's happening in Washington, D.C. So let's talk about a few things.
Sure.
First of all, did you hear what Hillary Clinton said over the weekend?
Far too many women are still denied critical access to reproductive health care and safe childbirth. All the laws we've passed don't count for much if they're not enforced. Rights have to exist in practice, not just on paper. Laws have to be backed up with resources and political will, and deep-seated cultural codes, religious beliefs, and structural biases have to be changed.
I don't think I've heard anything quite so clear. She was talking about women's rights. She was talking about that there are things in America now that we just need to change, and her quote was, "Deep-seated religious beliefs must be changed."
Wow. Even when Obama was calling Christians out for clinging to their gods and guns, he didn't say, and I'm going to change their deeply held beliefs. This goes another step.
His wife came close in 2008. She said that Barack knows that our traditions, our values, our history, and our language needs to be changed. But she didn't say our deep-seated religious beliefs.
That's incredible.
Is that not exactly... Is this not the perfect case of separation of church and state?
It is, but if you think about the things that we're finding out that she's done, I mean, it's just a continuation of the selling of the Lincoln bedroom like they did when he was president. For X number of dollars, you get to stay in the Lincoln bedroom, jump up and down on the bed there. But if you have deeply held religious convictions about honesty and that character matters and things you talk about all the time, if you really have those deeply held opinions, then you're not going to be approving of, selling out half our uranium that goes to the Russians and all of the things that she has done.
Let me come back to her stance.
I believe that marriage is not just a bond, but a sacred bond between a man and a woman. I have had occasion in my life to defend marriage, to stand up for marriage, to believe in the hard work and challenge of marriage. So I take umbrage at anyone who might suggest that those of us who worry about amending the Constitution are less committed to the sanctity of marriage or to the fundamental bedrock principle that it exists between a man and a woman going back into the mists of history.
Now she's off that and said that she's just evolved. Now she's telling us that we have to evolve, and I'm not even talking about that. I don't know what beliefs that are held by religious people that she wants to change, but she's saying that we have to change.
Well, in 2008, Rick Warren asked about marriage, and Barack Obama said marriage was between a man and a woman. And then we find out in Axelrod's book that they knew he had to lie when he was asked that, or he might not get elected president.
So do the Clintons, because I want to talk to you about selling out, do the Clintons actually believe in anything? Do you believe Hillary Clinton? Do you know her?
I mean, I've met her.
Okay.
She smiles.
Does she? Do you think she believes in anything?
I think what you've just brought up is evidence she doesn't. She believes in gaining power and using power and enriching oneself with power. Because what they've done is just run up the cash register by using power to raise money. It's just astounding.
Do you think that we as Christians hold any blame in any of this, because too many Christians are Christians when it's convenient, and not Christians when it's not. For instance,
we absolutely have some of the blame here, because the old adage is, democracy ensures that people are governed no better than they deserve.
Right.
And that's exactly what we've gotten.
is there any chance that anyone will pay for the crimes that have happened?
Well,
If
in the
there
next
are any crimes?
in the next 2 years, because Loretta Lynch has now been confirmed, there won't be. I don't believe. Andrew McCarthy,
Oh, yeah.
you know Andy, brilliant guy, and he had an article in the last few days saying that the Republicans that helped get her through voting for cloture and then voting for confirmation have just ensured that Hillary Clinton will be the next president, because they've ensured that she will not be properly investigated.
Let me switch here to what's happening with the Christians and our...
Glenn, we're going to be judged for this as a nation. As a nation, you know, Christians know where we go when we die, but as a nation, there is accountability that comes from a higher power than a president.
I think there is accountability as individuals. I have to tell you, Louie, I've been feeling, Bonhoeffer's been breathing down my neck. Gandhi's breathing down my neck. Martin Luther King is breathing down my neck. I mean, this is the time. This is the time. The things that I said that were so crazy, and that Christians would be hunted, Jews would be hunted. It's happening.
Yeah,
It's
I
happening.
thought that was somebody else's lifetime that would happen in, and now we're seeing it happen. And
we're going to be judged
about
hard.
I guess it was early June when I went to Nigeria and sat down with over 20 of the mothers of Christian girls that were kidnapped and were being raped and brutalized, eventually either sold into marriage or sexual slavery. And there were 3 girls that escaped. There were probably 5 or 6 that escaped from the truck on the way, but these were 3 that had escaped after they were actually there and they could report what was happening. These are young girls. They're just little kids. And there was, I asked their minister, you know, these were all Christians, and I said, did Boko Haram attack the school because it was girls, and I knew they didn't believe girls should be getting education. And they said, no, it was attacked because it was Christian. They knew it was Christian, but they didn't know that there were no boys there. So they were going to do their regular thing they do with Christian schools. They bring out the boys, they shoot all them, and then take the girls into sexual slavery. And I'd met over 20 of the mothers, and I said to the pastor late that night, I said, where are the fathers? He said, that's another part of the heartbreak here. They know their daughters are being regularly sexually assaulted, brutalized. They don't feel like while that's happening to their daughter, they can be in their home, lying in their own bed. They went to the jungle, they've gone to the bush, and they don't feel they have the right to come out and be in a home until their daughters come home.
Good God.
Oh, it's just tragic. And then, as I'm sure you noted, a Catholic bishop said this administration has demanded that they change the law to accept gay marriage. And in fact, there was a group of members of Congress and, Jim Inhofe led the group to East Africa. Anyway, I talked to a couple of the guys that went and said it was so heartbreaking. Inhofe is a strong believer, and he would pray with leaders of these countries, but these leaders were all heartbroken because they said, we don't understand. You're supposed to be a good nation, and you're demanding that you will not help us with radical Islam unless we legalize same-sex marriage, which is against our religious beliefs. You want us to give up our religious beliefs, and we have to start paying for abortion, or you're not going to help us? Kind of thing that the bishop in Nigeria was saying, the administration had said. But Glenn, we have elected leaders in this country, and we're allowing them to get away with this kind of thing. And that's why I come back to it, as a nation, we will be judged. And it doesn't usually go well for nations that turn this far away from their deeply held religious beliefs.
Thanks, Louie.
That Hillary Clinton says, we got to change. Wow.
Thank you.
Love you, brother.